started. I'm very excited you're here. Please take a moment, turn off your phone, turn off your email, turn off all of that stuff, because what we're going to talk about is really important. And if you listen, you're going to be so excited, you're going to stay up all night. I have with me Vince. Come on over here on camera. So here we are. We're going to be going ahead and answering your questions here. We're going to talk about the secrets for search engine optimization, clarifying your message so that people know what you sell, having great photos, how to do a call to action, and fourth, what is responsive design and why you need it. So to get started, I'm going to just kind of back out for a second and explain where does this topic of today, where does it fit in your overall marketing plan? First, we have the community. The community is the people who live within driving distance to your school and have school-age kids. Next, we need to get them to your website. Third is we need them to book a tour, which is going to be primarily on your website, or they may call you, but they're going to get your phone number from your website. Lastly, then they sign up, right? So how do we get them from 1 to 2? Well, advertising and paid so on, but we're going to talk about SEO because that's free. Visit us. Typically, there's a button on your website that says visit us or apply here or shadow day, and that's how people book one-on-one tours at your school. And lastly, once they book a tour, then the way they end up signing up is, enrollment and payment. And hopefully, all of the parents who sign up and become part of your school family are going to go ahead and refer and start the cycle over today. So today's training is going to focus really on getting people from your website to booking a tour. Now here's the meat. First, we're going to talk about search engine optimization. I'm going to introduce Vince over here, and he's going to just go ahead and show you on that.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'll be talking a little bit to you about search engine optimization. Some of you may be familiar with that term or at least heard of the term SEO before, but let's go ahead and jump into that. So search engine optimization is all about being found online. There is a lot of misconceptions about what that entails, and there are a lot of people that do those types of things, and usually they're quite expensive. But there are some things that you as a school can do for search engine optimization in order to optimize your website. Search engine optimization is the art of being found online. And the other side to that is that there's another way you can be found online, which is pay-per-click advertising, or PPC, which is the art of paying to be found online. If there's a free option, obviously, you want to take that way. It's more budget-friendly for schools. So, search engine optimization, one of the key things that you need to do in order to optimize your website is first, claim your Google My Business profile. Now, many of you may be familiar with that, but it's the search result that shows up first, and it's on the side in the search result, especially when you're searching for a specific type of school in a specific area. And Google has that way of really organizing the results so that it's the most relevant to what you're searching for. Key thing, a lot of you may have already have your school on Google My Business, and there may be a profile up, but it may not be owned by your school. So you need to go and claim your Google My Business profile by clicking a link, if there is one, on the search result for your school. Claim it and then gain access to the ownership so that you can add great photos, write a very good description of what you offer at the school, and also make sure that your Google My Business profile is separate from whatever religious organization that you're affiliated with. Reason for that is because if people are searching for a church and they come across your school, then of course it's not completely relevant to what they were looking for. Likewise, if they're searching for a school and they come across the religious organization that you were affiliated with and it's not separated, it kind of dilutes the search results for your school. Another thing you need to make sure that you do, the fastest way to get to the top of any search results is to get good reviews, 5-star reviews on multiple websites. One of them being, of course, Google reviews. So you can encourage, perhaps even incentivize parents, students, staff members to rate your school at a high grade and thus boost your search results. You will see a significant boost in SEO once you get a certain number of reviews. Other ways to do that is to get reviews on websites like Great Schools, Private School Review, those types of things. So look for review websites that are specifically oriented to education institutions and get good reviews on those things. Another way to help your SEO on the website is to make sure that you include keywords in the website links. Now, what I mean by that is, for example, if you see in the top screenshot here, it's faithluteranschool.com, and then it's got a whole bunch of gibberish and page IDs and numbers after that. That's not something you want to appear in your website, and instead you want it to have nice, clean permalinks that are also able to be read by Google's bots and to be able to discern exactly what kind of content is being displayed on each page. It's also a lot better for people that are using your site in order to know which page they're looking at and what kind of information to expect from it. So, in summary, the takeaways for SEO, or search engine optimization, is you want to make sure you claim your Google listing and put up proper photos and a great description of your school. Make sure that that listing is separate from whatever religious organization you may be affiliated with. Get plenty of reviews, for example, on Google Reviews or any number of education review websites, and make sure you put keywords in your website links. With that, I'm going to pass it back over to Steve, and he will talk about the assignment grunt test.
All right, thank you, Vince. That was great. Okay, if you're just joining us now, I do want to say thank you, and please use the chat icon to ask your questions. All right, so here's the next thing. Once someone gets to your website, we're kind of a consumer culture, right? That's how we shop. So if you're a parent, I'll just tell you my own story. I'm a parent. I've got 2 little kids. About a year ago, I went with my wife, and we decided to find a private school. There's 9 private schools in the area where we live. So where did we go? We typed in Google, we did a search, and then we visited every single website. So you hear that? We did a tour of every single website, but we only did a tour in person for a couple of them because it just takes time, right? So what happens is when I'm kind of in that shopping mode, you go to a website and try to figure out, okay, what's all this about? Is it in the in bucket or the out bucket? And if it's in the in bucket, then I'll go and look a little further. So if you got about 5 seconds on average, I think in the school mode, people are putting a pretty big investment of their lives into this. So I'll give you 10 seconds. But let's say you got 10 seconds for them to figure out what is it that you offer, how are you different from the other guys, how is this going to better my life, and how do I get this if I want it? So the grunt test is this. I want you to take your website, put it on your laptop, and show it to someone who's your friend who doesn't work in education, doesn't know what it is. Like pick someone who's in insurance or something like that, and tell me, you got 5 seconds, and after that, close the laptop lid on them, and tell them, what do we offer, how would it make your life better, and how do you get it? If you can't figure that out, they can't either. So that's the grunt test. I'm going to show you how to pass the grunt test now. This is how you pass it. Number 1, you really need to identify what is the problem that you're going to solve for them. And this is coming from Don Miller's book. So if you don't want to take his course or buy his book, here is the summary of it. You need to identify what their problem is. So as a school, you're solving multiple problems. You're solving the educational problem. You're solving character problems. You're solving getting into good colleges. You're solving spiritual development and so on, right? But pick one and identify it and state it really clearly. Then explain how you can help. And then you need to describe the happy ending that occurs at the end. So a kid in a graduation cap, that's a good one if that's the problem that you're solving. So if your problem that you're solving is like spiritual development and then you show a kid graduating, there's a disconnect here. So you don't want to do that. Let me show you some examples. Here's a video. You can find this free on the web. This is Donald Miller. I was going to show it, but it would be it's a little, I don't know if I can share it through a webinar situation here. But here's some of the key takeaways from that video that you want to take a look at. The main thing that you really need to do is make sure that you're dead clear. And you can do that through telling some stories. Let me show you examples of how that looks in the here. Here's a great one. This is just a preschool. Nursery, preschool, and elementary school programs. Do you know what it is? Yeah, I think I know. Do you know how to apply? Yeah, right here at the top it says apply, how to apply. So that's pretty good. It does not tell me how it makes my life better. So if I'm looking at nursery, preschool, and elementary school programs, I wouldn't know how this one is better or different from the other ones, other than the fact that they're like cool buildings. Here's another one. Give your children the best opportunity to become all God created them to be. Small class sizes for preschool through 8th grade students. What is it? Well, we know it's a school. How does it benefit me? The benefit? Well, it's the small class sizes, so we're inferring that that's going to be better. And you know exactly what to do. You click the button, schedule a tour. So I think this is a great example of what you want to do. Here's another great one. Brookshire International Academy is in San Diego, California-based private high school serving students over the age of 18, both online and through on-site classes and satellite classrooms throughout the United States of America. A little wordy, but pretty clear about what they do, and you know how to enroll. Doesn't quite say exactly like how they benefit you, but I guess it does. It's online and on-site, and there's a picture of a pretty awesome room. So that's a nice advantage, right? So I don't go through more, but that's what we want to do when you clarify your message. This is something that you can do. It's free. Doesn't take a lot of time. It's harder than it looks, just FYI. You see these examples, they make it look easy. This wasn't easy. It's harder than it looks, but it's really worth it. This is what's going to separate you from all the other people playing the website game. This is what makes you an elite website marketer. Okay, I'm just going to skip through a bunch of other examples. If your website is in here, cool. Sorry, I skipped you. Okay, going back. Okay, next one up is photos. So what really goes really strongly with having a clear message about what you do is photos. And you need to have photos that show the happy ending. So whatever happy ending that you're promising if they sign up at your school, that's what you show. What is kind of popular right now is doing photos or candid photos, lifestyle photography, people call them. That is, don't show people in a line saying cheese. It's just not kind of in right now as a style. So you want to show people doing things, show lots of environments. If you've got, like, take a picture in every single spot of your school, you know, maximize everything that you've got and show people interacting with each other and so on. You can do this with an iPhone, you know, just use if you got the new iPhone with that, I forget what it's called, the portrait mode, use it. If not, get a photographer. But this is really huge. Okay, next thing is you need to ask parents to book a tour. It's just kind of straightforward. If you don't ask, they're not going to do it. And where you ask is really important. It needs to stand out, make it super obvious. I want my 4-year-old son to just make it to be easy. Like my 4-year-old son and probably your small children or grandchildren probably know how to play YouTube and work the iPad because it's easy and it's obvious. You need your website to be easy and obvious. At the end of the day, I want people to show up at your door and say, I'm sorry, I booked a tour on accident. You know, that's what you need to do. So here's a great example. This is Foothill Montessori School in the small picture there. You can see that the book a tour button is a different color than the other colors on the website. It stands out. It's right in the middle. Some of your websites, I looked at a lot of them, and some of them have it in the right spot, but some of them you got to go way down on the page. So what I want you to do is make this at the top of the page so that you don't have to scroll. If you do scroll down, then you've got two options. When you scroll down on the page, you can either make it sticky, meaning that it kind of follows line with you as you scroll, or the other option is just repeat it. Just show it again in the footer. Okay? Any questions on that? Because that's a really, really important one.
Go ahead and put your questions in the chat.
Okay, okay. Here's a great example. I like this one. The photo, it's a stock photo, but man, is it clear? This is clear. Where faith and knowledge meet, building a community of lifelong faith-filled learners. Schedule a tour, and here's a phone number. I mean, they really nailed it. So kudos to them. Okay, here's more examples. I'm going to just kind of skip through them, okay? There's one thing that's really cool on this one. Schedule a tour is a different color, there's only one of them. But if you have two call to actions, calendar events and new family information, here's two, it causes a little bit of confusion. You pause for a second and try to figure out which one you need to do. So what I need you to do is make one of them a different color or make one much bigger than the other one so that when people look at it, they don't, you know what I mean? You don't want to pause them at all. Also, if you kind of notice the scheduled tours in the top right corner, which is rad, except that it's red and everything else is red. So I would really, really love it if Scottsdale Christian Academy could somehow make the button that says scheduled tour a different color than the header, because all the stuff at the top is that. Maybe the header was black, or, I mean, you can get creative at that point. Okay. This one's also great. I love it. It's a little bit hard to read their mission statement. That would be my only critique here. You could probably do certain things with photo to make it easier. And plan a visit, perfect placement. It could be maybe a little higher. I'd like to see it right in the middle of the page, but then it would be on that girl's face. So they could play with that a little bit, but do you get the idea here? Here's another one. I think this is great. This is Cheswick Christian Academy. Cheswick Christian Academy, affordable Christian education since 1978. Enroll now. That's really clear. It doesn't quite tell them what is going to happen if you go here. Well, it tells me that it's affordable and it's Christian. So but I think you could say a little bit more in there about what you're going to do with them. But in terms of a clear photo, great placement of the words, it's not crowded. I mean, that part, you get an A+. Okay. All right, now we're back to the beginning again. Okay, now I'm going to tell you the secret sauce. Okay, so pause whatever you're doing. I'm sure that you're probably checking email in the last few minutes. Come back. Okay, are you with me? Pay attention. This is really, really important because I guarantee if you do this, you're going to see huge numbers in 2019. There is something called a scheduling app, and there are something like 250 odd companies that provide this. I've looked at about 80 of them. Half of them don't fit the school business. They're good for salons or restaurants and things like that. But there's about 80 that are so that are really good for private schools. I literally went to every single website and rated it and figured out which one was the best. And I even used 4 of them myself to try it out. And I have one that is the best for private schools, and it is best because, number 1, it's free. And number 2, it's really customizable, and it's got all the other functions that you're going to need. It's called Acuity. It's kind of hard to spell and pronounce, and there's another medical company that has the same name. So at the end of this, I'll just send you a link to it, and you can get it from there. But this is why you need it. I look at probably about 1,000 school websites every year, and I can count on one hand the number of schools that use a scheduling app, and I don't even need all the fingers. If you do this, I would put a lot of money that you're going to get a much higher number of tours. And here's why. I can't guarantee how many people will get to your website, but I can say this. I can say that people who get to your website, if you put this button and you put it in the obvious place and make sure that your message is clear and you have the right photo next to it, 9 out of 10 people are going to click that button. Okay? So what happens is this. So you're going to go there. What normally happens is this. People say, schedule a tour. You click a button, and it takes us to what? It takes us to a page where it says, give me your phone number and email, how old your kid is, and in some cases, they ask for everything except your blood type. That's a little bit too much. What we really need to do is to get them here at the door. What that form does, all it does is it sends someone admissions or the principal an email to an already impacted inbox, and then you go back and forth trying to figure out what time you can meet, right? Meanwhile, the other school who uses this app has already booked 5 appointments. So this is what you do. You go to get an Acuity. I'll send you the link. It's free. You need to set it up. It syncs with your calendar. So it's got to be like your iPhone calendar, your Google calendar, your Outlook calendar, and so on. If you're not using it, you got to use it. And then the parent can just book a tour themselves. So that's the secret sauce. Okay, next we're going to talk about mobile website design within.
Hello, everyone, again. Thank you, Steve, for the reintroduction. As you said, we're going to briefly talk about mobile website design in the sense of, does your website appear on mobile devices in a friendly, legible way? There's several points that go along with this, and there's several misconceptions as well. One of the main misconceptions that people have about mobile-friendly websites is that if your website shows up on a mobile browser, then they think that it's mobile-friendly. that is not the case. What mobile-friendly really means is that your website is able to respond to whatever screen size your user is holding in their hand, and it's still going to be able to be reading the text. They'll be able to see the images. The images are not cut off in some weird way. And likewise, all the important items are going to be apparent to the user when they first pull up your website on their mobile device. Again, like Steve mentioned earlier, even on mobile, you can have things such as a sticky call to action, meaning that if you want to book tours and you have a schedule a tour button, that needs to be very apparent at the top of the page, and possibly you may want to consider that either it's repeated throughout the page as the user scrolls down on their mobile device, or it follows them down the page. The other item you want to pay attention to with mobile sites is that it's a mobile-friendly navigation. A lot of school websites that I've seen have giant, beautiful menus on their desktop sites, but when you go to the mobile site, they think that just installing a plugin is going to fix everything, but it creates a very messy experience for the mobile user. And last but not least, you want to have images, as I previously mentioned, that are fluid and are going to look very good on a user's mobile device.
So are there free apps that do that, or plugins or something like that?
So we had a question come in, and there are free plugins and apps that can take a desktop site and automatically make it responsive. But there is no guarantee that it is going to do a good job of that, based on various factors related to the configuration of your site, how it was built, etc. So that's not necessarily the best solution to implement a automatic quick fix plugin. What you really need to do is make sure that your website design is fully responsive, and possibly even have some parts of the site that are dedicated to mobile devices.
Okay. So is that something that someone can just do with like WordPress or just a normal thing, or do they need something custom made? Usually with mobile responsive sites, you want to have a website, especially if you're using a WordPress site, one of the most common website builders out there. Then you want to make sure that you're using a theme that is already configured to be mobile responsive, something that will allow you to edit things specifically on mobile as well as on the desktop side. Got it. Thanks.
So just to remind everybody, although I'm sure we're all aware of it, of how important it is to have a website that is accessible and mobile friendly. 50% of local mobile searchers are looking for business information on mobile. So, and then 60% of American adults use smartphones and tablets to search for local product and service information, including schools, especially schools. Some people don't even have a desktop or a laptop anymore. All they've got is an iPad, and that's a tablet, and you're going to need a mobile responsive site in order for it to display nicely on the tablet. And we'll pass it over to Steve again to cover this part of the presentation.
All right, thank you, Vince. Appreciate it. And again, if anyone is interested in just having someone just review their site and let them know where they stand, we do a 30-point check. It's free. We've got 5 spots open. They're 15 minutes each, so just go to website.gradelink.com to book your appointment. It's a great way to get some feedback on it. All right, and then here's my contact information right up here. Feel free to give me a call or email me if you have any questions. And if you would like us to review your site at all, we've got a few minutes now for Q&A, so go ahead and jump in the chat if you have.
So someone noted that 70% of their users are viewing now on mobile. Yes.
Okay.
We've seen those statistics many times before, as high as 80%.
Okay, thank you.
Can we design for mobile first? Yes, that definitely is an option. However, in my experience, if you're using a proper site builder or such as WordPress, then you'll be able to design separately for mobile and for desktop, and even sometimes for tablet, so that you'll have 3 separate designs for your website, so that they're completely and fully optimized for whatever device is being used to access it.
So does that mean like when you go into WordPress or Wix or whatever, there's like a button to edit the menu on the website that's different than like a different menu than the desktop?
Many of the popular website builders, such as Wix and WordPress with specific types of themes, do have that option where there's a separate tablet versus mobile versus desktop builder.
Okay. Are those typically free or paid or just all over the place?
Usually paid.
Usually paid?
Yes.
Okay. Can you get a ballpark? Is it like $5 or like $100 or?
You'll probably be looking at somewhere in the 200 to 400 range.
200 to 400 range?
Yes.
But that gives you all the templates for mobile and desktop.
It should, but the thing is you'll still have to build your own site.
Oh gosh. Okay. 200 to 400 gives you the template, but you still have to build it. Okay. Well, good to know.
How do you link to the scheduling app to the website?
Okay. Linking the scheduling app to the website is really easy.
Embedded.
You can. The instructions are in the app. It'll tell you, but basically you can either put a link or you can embed it. Embed it. Don't link it, because when you link it, then it says Acuity at the top of the page, and you just want it in. You don't want people to leave your website. You want them to stay on your website.
Right. Right. And someone said, what is the scheduling app? It's Acuity, and we'll send that link out to you after this presentation.
Yeah, it's called Acuity. It's hard to pronounce and spell, and then there's another medical company called Acuity at the end that people are going to get it mixed up with, so I'll send you the link to it. But it's free.
We have another question. Are you familiar with design for sites hosted on HubSpot?
Yeah, we're familiar with HubSpot designs. HubSpot is, I think it's a great tool. For those who are not familiar with it, it's something they have to pay for. They do a lot of inbound stuff. Yeah, it's got a price tag available with it. So yeah, we're familiar with it. I don't have anything against it. I would say that, I mean, if you get a free Wix website or the website from GoDaddy, the website tonight from GoDaddy, if you did these 5 things, I don't see why you wouldn't have people booking tours. You're making it easy for them. It might not look as professional, or if you're like a high-end prep school, it might look like a high-end prep school says get your free website here. But I'm just trying to say that I'm not taking a position on whether you use Wix or whether you use WordPress or something like that. I would say just do these 5 things.
All right. We've got another question. We are in the process of redoing our website. Should we have you review it now or wait until it is more complete?
I would say review now, because if there's major changes that you need to do,
you'll save the time.
You'll save the time, yeah. Even if you just had a review of like a sketch of what you are planning to do, that would be good. Because if we come after the fact, then what do you do?
Right. How important is social media integration, like a scroll of social media? If you're referring to an embedded social media app like the Facebook feed, social media is important.
Well, I think we lost some people with the social media feed scroll. I think what they're saying is that on some websites, you can show like your Twitter feed or your Instagram feed on your website, so they don't have to go to there. They don't have to go to Instagram, for example, to see it. So how important is that? I mean, if you do it really well, it'd be great.
It can contribute to your social media effectively, especially if it's an active account. So make sure you keep posting on a regular basis.
Right, but if your posts are not that good or anything, then I don't think it's helping you at all.
Right. You want to make sure that it's quality posts that will actually generate some interest on social media.
Yeah, and I would say it would not trump any of these up here. If you have bad photos on Instagram, putting on your website doesn't help you.
Okay, so someone said pay per click, yes or no. That entirely depends on you. If you have the budget and you want to dump some dollars onto it, you can definitely do that. We're recommending that if for the tight budget you want to go the SEO route.
Yeah, pay per click, yes, if you're paying for the right click. I mean, that's the bottom line, right? If you're paying for some guy who clicked on your thing on accident and you just dropped $7 every time that happens, no, right? So I wouldn't take a complete yes or no option. I've seen people who have done pay per click and made it just fantastic. I've seen their enrollment went up, and they saved, they stopped doing mailers. They did all pay per click ads on YouTube. They increased their enrollment by 30%. They gave their teachers a raise, and they didn't have to do the mass mailer, which cost them like 10 grand. So in that case, yes, if you do it that way. I've seen other people did pay-per-click and they lost all their money in like one day. So talk to someone. Yeah, you really need to know what you're doing on that.
Another question, do you need Instagram for a private school?
You don't, I mean, I don't know. You don't need it. Like, there's plenty of schools in the United States that don't have Instagram, and they have kids in them. So in that, like, absolute matter-of-fact way, no, you don't need it. Can it help? Yes, it could help.
If you use it properly.
If you do it well, right, it could help.
Yeah.
But I've seen people who spend, I mean, they have a social media intern and just try to figure out how many dollars did they earn. You're paying them money to post on social media. Are you getting any revenue back? You know, so social media is a separate topic, I think, and it's not going to be as cut and dry. This stuff that I'm talking about is the low-hanging fruit, the quick hitters. If you do this, it will work. If you do social media, it's a little bit harder to come down specific on that. Maybe a lot harder. Sorry, it's a lot harder to quantify social media. Even if you have an awesome social media person, you can still not guarantee, like, in some cases you can, right? I would say the only one thing that I would say if you're going to do social media, if you're doing it regularly, you're doing it well, I would like the Facebook live tours, I think are cool. But do like a 1-minute, 2-minute live tour, not a full 40-minute tour of the school. So that way it's more of a preview, and then you can put in the description or in the comments a link to your book a tour button where they can come in for the live one. So just make that the preview. Then that way you can use social media to kind of spread the word parent to parent.
Showing feeds so that you show current things that are happening at your school. If you're asking if that's a good idea, yes it is, because it's part of including constantly updated content to your website, which search engines are going to love.
But it's got to be done right. So if you say something like, Buddy the Elf came today, right? That's cool. It's got to be, you ever heard the term FOMO, fear of missing out? So it has to be something where when you say, oh, did you see that Buddy the Elf came to our school? Like, oh, too bad, because it was awesome. Too bad you don't go to our school, right? You've got to present things in a positive light, but in a fear of missing out kind of light. So you don't want to say something like there was an algebra test today, because no one fears of missing that out, right? Like, so make sure that the pictures and the words that you do are exciting and that they're really related to what the whole thing about your school is.
So we do it through Flickr and it shows up on our site. Is that a good method, or should we be putting those pictures directly to our site? Okay, good.
Another question. So we do that through Flickr and it shows up on our website. Is that a good method, or should we be putting pictures directly to our site? Either way, it's fine, as long as the pictures are good, right? And as long as they're, I mean, if it's adding to the bottom line, I wouldn't say it trumps any of these things, you know, like if the parent can get to your website and in 5 seconds, or I think for you guys I gave 10, in 10 seconds they can figure out what you do, how it benefits them, and how to get it. I mean, that's the number one thing. If the pictures can augment how does this help you communicate what you do for the parents, that's good.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all. We really appreciate you. And you get out early so you can go back to your Christmas party. Thanks again. I really appreciate that you paused your phone and email. Feel free to get in touch with me if you have any questions.
There we go.